Welcome back to the Sideline Live podcast. You can follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at the Sideline Live. We'd love to hear from you. On episode 108, I'm delighted to be joined by Sligo Inter-County footballer Pat Spillane Jr. On this episode, we discuss his career, running mechanics, inter-county commitments, moving to Sligo, Judes, Dublin Senior Club football, and so much more. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi Pat, thanks a million for joining me on the podcast.
Cheers, thanks for having me, Orla.
Before we get into everything, I have a lot of non-GA listeners. Would you mind giving a quick elevator pitch to the listeners who might not know who you are?
Right, so I suppose in short, my name is Pat Spillane. I'm a Gaelic football player for St. Judes. I play for St. Judes in Dublin, and I play my county football then with Sligo.
Okay, very good. Growing up in Kerry and Templeogue, give us a bit of an insight into your growing up. Obviously, your dad was heavily involved in gas, so I'm assuming he was the first person to put the ball in your hand.
He was, yeah. So obviously big influence on my life growing up. So would have grown up playing football in Templeogue, but would have played a load of sports growing up. Would have played a bit of everything. Would have played soccer at underage with Kerry as well. Would have played a lot of basketball. Basketball would have been my dual sport almost, and would have played a bit of rugby as well. So played a bit of everything growing up. Went to college then in UCC. Would have played football in UCC, and then following college then would have moved to Dublin then for work. So that's sort of how I ended up playing my football in Dublin then. So
okay, what position did you play in basketball out of interest?
I was a point guard.
Were you? What height were you playing point guard?
I had a fairly late growth spurt now, so I would have been quite short in school. I went from, I don't know, I say I'm 6'3" now, but I would have been 5'8", 5'9", maybe going into fifth year leave and certain hit a bit of a burn. But yeah.
Very good. And do you notice anything that's transferable between the two sports? Obviously, everyone's talking about, the tactic side of things, but skills-wise, from a player's perspective, what do you notice between the two sports and the crossover? I'd
say probably just keeping the head up when you're on the ball was the big thing. If you're playing point guard, you need to have your eyes up the whole time when you're moving, when you're dribbling with the ball. And just fast hands as well, like the amount of ball going through the hands now in Gaelic football. You really need fast hands and hand passing, so they're probably the two biggest ones. But even like the way players screen now and check for other players coming on a loop, that's very applicable as well to Gaelic football.
You mentioned the soccer as well. How long did you keep all three of them up, and maybe there was another sport as well? Or and what age did you kind of have to, was it ever put to you that you had to choose, or was it just kind of a natural progression of you had to kind of pick one or two?
Never know, and there was no pressure to play football either as my main sport. I think I would have enjoyed probably basketball most growing up. I think really was coming into leaving cert when I dropped down to just football. I cut basketball off for a few years at 16. It was just for school really was the pressure more than anything. I would have kept up everything if I could have, but coming into leaving cert time, I needed a few hours to get the studying, so that was when I dropped off.
Do you get to watch much NBA or Garvey's 30 Warriors at all?
I do. I followed the NBA a good bit now. I haven't seen much of the Irish League now last 2 years, but great to see the league going well.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about kind of underage, you never played, you played underage soccer for Kerry, but you never played Gaelic football for them.
No, I would have just been sort of in and out of development squads really, with Kerry South up to about maybe under 16, so maybe spent 2 or 3 years. But no, I wouldn't have had any underage experience with the minors or 21s.
And what changed for you then, kind of making this drastic jump? Was that more when you kind of came to Dublin? Was it maybe just this kind of, Brian Fenton spoke about, just this kind of, it wasn't good enough at the time? Was that kind of the same similar story to you?
A bit of everything really. I'd say a couple of factors. I'd say moving to Judes was a big thing for me, just kind of working with very good mentors and good teammates and stuff who would have given me an awful lot of good feedback and would have been big into video work as well. So kind of from a team perspective and tactically would have improved hugely after coming to Judes. And then I'd say at an individual level, COVID was kind of the big thing for me. So I kind of had like 8 months of individual training that really brought me on. So they were sort of the two big things.
What were you practicing by yourself on the pitch? Was there any specific, skills that you were really trying to hone in on, or was it just trying to get time on the pitch and just get your skills up naturally that way?
It would have been my running really was a big thing. I remember kind of when I first came to Judes, I sort of first time really doing video analysis and was kind of watching my running mechanics and sort of thinking I can fine tune this a bit. So I kind of did a huge amount of work on my explosiveness and kind of running mechanics and running technique, and I sort of learned how to run again during COVID. And then when I kind of came back in, then my speed was probably my biggest asset then. So that was very beneficial having that time to kind of work on that.
I remember I gone through that a couple of times with injury. I've had to learn how to run again, and I have to do it again now. But I remember a couple of years ago I had a sprint coach, or not a sprint coach, a running coach, and I remember we had only done like 2 sessions, and just the energy I had because I wasn't using it on my running. I used to use double the energy because I'd be hunched over, knees weren't coming up at all. What was the kind of cues that he changed for you with your running?
There was one line I always remember from it. I remember seeing someone say, "You should imagine cracking an egg kind of between your hamstring and your back heel," because I wasn't getting a full lift in. And as soon as I started thinking of that, I started doing like sort of a full extension. I was probably adding on like another inch to my stride. It's funny how like something small like that can click with you and change.
Absolutely. And how do you find in terms of the gym work and explosive work? Obviously, you're a very powerful player now. How do you balance that with the on pitch stuff that you're in terms of training load? I know at intercounty level you'd have an S&C coach, but when you're by yourself, how do you try balance that explosive side of things and the pitch side of things when you're trying to? There is a fine balance between the two, really.
Yeah, I don't, to be honest, I keep it when I'm kind of in season. I really wouldn't go that heavy in terms of heavy lifts. I keep everything kind of light, explosive. Yeah, and in fairness, I think a lot of the work I do in the gym as well is kind of around plyometrics as well. So it all feeds into that sprint work and that explosiveness. Yeah, it's just finding kind of a balance between not trying to be broken up for your pitch sessions as well.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of kicking skills work, what would you like to do even now on the pitch? Is there anything you like kind of practicing, or what do you have a particular drill you like to do? I'm conscious I have a lot of younger players listening that like to kind of take little snippets from different players from the podcast.
Yeah, I used to kind of have a bad habit going out into the pitch, and I'd be kicking balls off the ground and static and freeze, and I wasn't a free taker or wasn't on 45, so it's more for the crack of it. Like, but I think like now I'm trying to kick from match situations I'd be in, so always throwing a ball up from head height first and running onto it, or going with a hard solo run for 10 meters, 15 meters, and then kicking, because that's kind of where I'm getting my scores in matches. So, trying to replicate match situations as much as possible.
Very good. Is there any particular underrated skill at the moment that you see in the game that maybe players or coaches at the underage level or at senior level are kind of overlooking? Is there anything just from a player's perspective that you find very useful?
In terms of skill wise, I'd say probably just making more than 1 or 2 runs, probably more of a tactical thing really. But I think a lot of the time a player will make a really hard run once, they'll be tracked and they'll stop the run. And I think really getting used to zigzagging and making as many cuts as possible, because you'll shake off any defender eventually with enough runs. So I'd say practicing that even when you're kicking down the pitch by yourself, with 2 people, like making hard runs left and right. It's definitely a skill that needs to be practiced.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever see that clip of Steph Curry when he's getting open for a shot and he makes about, I think it's about 5 different cuts across the court and your man can't keep up, and that's when he gets the open shot. It's kind of that you're not staying stagnant sort of thing. You see that come into the GA more, where it's that tactical side we always see on the loop, the backdoor cuts, but you think that's obviously something the players should be looking at it maybe at an earlier age.
Yeah, definitely. No, like, and even it's watching basketball, even like if you watch the movement, players have to loop and run so much before getting a score. If you watch the top teams now, the amount of scores they get around the D, it might look like an easy pop over the bar, but it comes from maybe like 3 or 4 hard runs before that. That feeds into that score.
The 2022 Senior Championship, you kind of exploded onto the scene in terms of the media side of things. Everyone started to, particularly that county final, lots of tweets going around. What was the difference maker for you, do you think, with that season? Was it just this huge jump you made with that COVID individual training paying off, or what was the jump for you personally?
Yeah, I'd say just it was my first full year playing senior club football. So just experience wise, like it was the most football I'd played. And then obviously coming off the COVID year as well. So at an individual level, I was the fittest and strongest I'd been, and then tactically I was just playing the most football at a high level I'd ever played before, so it all just sort of started to come together really.
Okay. And how close is Division 1 Senior Championship in Dublin at the club level compared to intercounty? Is there much of a gap between that and intercounty level at this stage?
I'd say at it in terms of fitness, S&C, and tactically, I'd say like there's very little gap. Like the senior clubs in Dublin are top class and have a huge amount of senior intercounty players playing, but at an individual level, there is probably a step up in intercounty in terms of the players there, athletically and skill wise. But I mean, the gap isn't, it isn't ginormous. Like the standard of senior club football in Dublin is top class.
Would there be much of a difference, like kind of mentality wise, between the two in terms of that individual approach?
I'd say not. No, I think in terms of application and what players are doing off the pitch now in terms of prep and review work, like a senior club player in Dublin is on a par really with most intercounty players, which is frightening. Like, but it's there wouldn't be a huge difference.
Okay, interesting. And do you find in terms of players wise, like people listening that don't play, and when they hear about kind of the routine, like I sent you that post I put up about the player in Dublin travelling back west for a county setup, and when they don't understand kind of why you do it and the commitment wise, when you're in it, is it tough to kind of get around, like even from a Dublin club player perspective, when they're, you know, individually doing things away from the team? Is it hard to kind of explain to other people that don't get it? Do you bother? Is it just, you know, it's just for love of the game, really?
Yeah, if you talk to anyone who doesn't play, or anyone in work really, or wouldn't be close to it, they think it's bananas, and you explain to them like they're saying you're not getting paid, but when you're in the thick of it, like, and you're enjoying it, you just kind of you do it without thinking. You're in a flow, like kind of looking back after the season ended, sort of thinking, Jesus, how did I actually manage to do that for 7 or 8 months? But yeah, you just get on with it when you enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. When did the call come from Sligo? When did that opportunity come up?
It was after championship last year was finished up in November, so it was over Christmas. I was down home for Christmas. It would have been Christmas week. I would have got the call. Had a few days to think about it, and then I was in with them then from first week of January or around that.
Okay, and how did you find the jump to intercounty level? Kind of that individual, you know, difference that you see with between the division, the club football in Dublin and the intercounty level.
Yeah, I think that the pace of the game is a big thing. Like in terms of when you turn over a team, how quickly you go on the attack, and how much quicker you need to get tuned into what's happening, and what your role isn't the same defensively. Like when you get turned over, maybe at club level, because of the skill execution, maybe the athletes have a bit more time to stop and think. But at intercounty level, everything's happening so fast. So it's a bit of a jump up getting tuned into the speed of the game.
Was there ever this sort of, I know you were born in Kerry and the opportunity with Sligo came up, but was there kind of ever, you know, during the season, did you ever realise, geez, I made it at the intercounty level when you didn't at the underage level? Was it this moment of realisation or accomplishment, or were you just taking in your stride, whatever sort of thing?
Kind of just got on with it really. I think, although there was like maybe the first game we'd away to Wexford in the National League, and kind of coming into the ground, I was sort of looking around, thinking playing a county team here in county ground, you know, like sort of what's going on is a bit mad. But after that, really kind of just I was in the flow of it. Didn't take too much notice.
Yeah. Did you ever think kind of before that you'd ever make it at the intercounty level? Was it kind of, did you ever not give up, but on the dream sort of thing? But it was just, oh, it's not going to happen yet, or it's not for me, or what did you think? Because you're only about 24, so you still have plenty of years ahead of you.
Yeah, so no, I would have thought. Yeah, to be honest, I never thought I'd play intercounty football. Definitely didn't think I'd play club football in Dublin or be playing at Sligo. So it's kind of it's all a bit bizarre, really, like how it's all happened. But like, yeah, really enjoying it.
Okay, and do you think in terms of the underage intercounty system, when we, you know, you like yourself that never made it, Brian Fenton's another example mentioned a couple of times. There's lots of other players I could pick on. Do you think from the overall development of the game, and do you think the way we do the underage setup is effective in terms of developing players? Obviously, the minor competition and the under 20 competition, I don't want to say it's not important, but for the overall development of the game, if we're looking from that scope, is there a more effective way to develop players for counties and have a broader approach to it?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, I suppose, from a county's perspective. When you want to be successful at the senior level, you want to make sure that you have a consistent group of guys who are playing to the style of football you want them playing, and you want to make sure they're all aligned to the same S&C work. You want to make sure that they're getting ready for senior level. So, and you can't do that, I suppose, with 60 lads at every age group, 80 players. You have to be tough and pick, who are perceived as the best players at each level. And obviously, unfortunately, sometimes players might develop later and end up missing out on that opportunity. It's a tricky one. Like, you've examples all the times of players who miss minor, under 21 and underage and end up becoming great senior players. But I think it's just the way it is. I think from a county's perspective, you have to be greedy and focus on developing the top players.
Yeah, good point. I sent you that post I put up about the schedule, and in terms of getting like work in Dublin, that post, it was, I don't know what your situation is, but it was leaving work at 3:30, kind of coming in extra hours, punching extra hours to make sure you can get your work done. How difficult is it to balance the work side of things as well as football when you're trying to develop not only your career on the pitch but your professional career at the same time?
Yeah, it's tough going. I think like the in fairness, like I'm blessed to be working with Suntory, who've a really good flexible work policy. Like so, we've two days working at home, 3 days in the office. So that way you can kind of flex it around. But in terms of the work hours, yeah, like that was tough going this year. Like I'd finish work, maybe I'd start work early, I'd finish work at 3:30, and then I'd be working then on the bus to Sligo then maybe for an hour and a half. But like it was just, I suppose, found a good way of working, really, like made sure that all the calls and meetings were wedged into when I was online in the office. And then obviously had a really good manager then who, had the trust that I'd make up the last time and make up on the mail. So yeah, it's tough going, but you kind of find a system that works.
And even trying to stay fresh when you're on the bus doing the work to go down and you're trying to fit in all the gym sessions, training, like mentally, how do you stay fresh in terms of getting to training? And even from a work perspective, how do you stay fresh mentally and not get dogged tired of your schedule?
I kind of just found a system last year with the days where I get my gym session done in the morning or the lunch, the evening when I was working from home, and I do nothing in the evening, just take my mind off football completely. So just keeping like 2 or 3 evenings completely clear of football really is what keeps you fresh. I think you'll crash if you if you try to do something every day. So yeah, really just try to shut off 3 nights a week.
Okay, very good. In terms of getting to training then, what do you arrive early? What do you like to do before training? Is there any specific from the individual perspective for your own preparation? What do you like to do before a training session or a match?
Just kicking, really, just getting loads and loads of kicking, loads of hands on the ball. Kicking a post really is the big thing for me. So I'll try to get it in as early as possible. Yeah, that's just more kicking the better, really.
Do you have any superstitions before a game day? Do you like to put on your socks a certain way or eat certain things? What is it for you?
Yeah, the same pair of football socks all year. I got the same. Yeah, same ones all year. So there's a hole developing in one of them now. So know what I'm going to do next season.
And what do you like to do kind of to prepare yourself mentally? Is that something you pay attention to? Is the mental side of the game a big part of your preparation or your play?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's like in terms of probably visualization's a big thing for me. Really, kind of going into a game, trying to picture who I'm playing against and where I'm going to get the ball, what a score would look like, what I'm going to do. Yeah, definitely. I'd probably try imagine myself in a couple of match situations and what the best outcome would be.
And do you like to watch yourself after the game? Do you kind of give it a couple of days if even if it's a good or a bad performance in terms of watching your individual clips or watching the whole match? What way do you like to do that after a game?
Yeah, I'd be big into watching the games back and watching my clips as well. I'd be sending them home for analysis as well. So yeah, no, in fairness, I jump on it straight after the games.
Okay, and what do you think is your biggest strength at the moment, Pat? Is there anything that you've noticed that's just kind of always been there, or is it something new? What is it for you, do you think?
I'd say probably ball carrying. Probably beating man with a ball. I've never wasn't a massive asset of mine, but I think in the last year or two really kind of developed a good step and power. And I think I can get on the ball and try beat a player or two. I think that's probably a big part of my game now.
What would be your biggest lesson from your first year at intercounty led football, whether it's on the pitch, off the pitch? Was there anything that just kind of stood out to you?
I'd say probably, I'd say just in terms of tuning into my body a bit more. I struggled with it with injuries last year and pushed a bit hard in terms of the travelling and the training load took a bit of a toll on the body. So I think just, minding myself a bit more, tuning into the body a bit more, how I'm feeling, and kind of tweaking my prep because ultimately you want to be fresh for match day. So yeah, I'd say just putting a bit more time into my body and seeing how I'm feeling.
How did you find the Tailteann Cup going in as a player? What was the perspective like from a player? I'm interested to get your thoughts on it as a competition. How did you guys treat it up in Sligo? How did you find the whole experience this year?
Yeah, Tailteann Cup was brilliant. Yeah, it was really well received by all of us. I mean, in terms of like all we want as players is more games, and for us as well is a chance of winning silverware, more competitive games with counties, kind of on an equal level. So no, it was a brilliant competition for us, and we had some brilliant days out. Opportunity to play in Crow Park against Cavan, brilliant day in Carrick against Leitrim as well with a big crowd as well. So no, it was a great experience.
Obviously that news came out recently about them potentially scrapping the National League finals. As a player, Is it disheartening when they, as you just said, how you like to have more games when they're trying to scrap, the league finals and potentially, like, I don't know how long the Tailteann Cup is going to be in for, but if that comes up for a review and they don't go forward with it, what's that like as a player to kind of see decisions being made without sometimes your opinion being taken into it when you're the one training and playing?
Yeah, it's a tough one, I'd say, especially for counties in Division 3 or 4 that don't get too many opportunities playing Croke Park. You don't want to see finals getting scrapped, because that's a brilliant chance for you to represent your county in Croker. That's where you want to be. But yeah, in terms for us, like with the amount of training we put in, we would just want to see as many games as possible. So yeah, more games the better. So hopefully Hall still goes ahead.
What would you like to see from a player's perspective of the Tailteann Cup moving forward? Is there anything you'd like to see tweaked, changed? I was surprised. I didn't realise that the final would be linked in with the senior semi-finals. Like, I assumed that it would be its own day. Maybe that might be the case in future years, but what would you like to see kind of moving forward from your perspective as a player?
I think the big thing for us really was just the split between the North and South teams. Because we actually, like, we'd brilliant clashes against London and Leitrim this year in the Tailteann Cup, and in the National League. But it would have been nice to play against maybe Division 3 team we hadn't played in the year, because we were grouped into the same bracket. So I think just having an open draw maybe throughout the whole, throughout all Ireland, would have opened up new matches. That would have been a good experience for the players.
Okay, interesting. This year, obviously, Kerry won the senior championship. What was that like to kind of watch your cousins? And I know there was 4 lads from a small town like Templeogue. What's that like for you as a proud Kerry man, even though you play for Sligo? And obviously, your dad had that lovely story as well on his final show. But what was that like to watch your cousins and your county, your native county, with so many players from Templeogue win the senior championship?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was magic seeing the lads win. In fairness, like, playing with them growing up, and so seeing the work they've put in, like, the lads were thoroughly deserving of it. Like, they've been full-time athletes since they're about 15, 16 years old. And yeah, seeing them going playing from junior club football to playing in Croke Park, winning All Ireland, yeah, it was a fairly magic day out, especially tying in with Dad's last day in the office as well. So it's nice.
And the guys are going into the senior championship now. I think they're playing. Am I right in thinking Dr. Croak's this weekend? Or
They're playing
maybe I'm wrong. Sorry,
this
no.
week. I'm not too sure when the next. Yeah, I don't know who they have in next round now. They've got the club final now against Rathleys coming up after the county championship, so they'll be all guns blazing for that.
For a club that went from junior, or I think you were saying below before, it was actually below junior division they were in, to senior championship. How did that happen in such a small town? How, for anyone listening, how can they replicate that in their own town? Is it just this magical crop of players, or is it years of underage structure? What is it, do you think?
I think it's a couple of different factors. I'd say, like, it's sort of a freakish crop that's come through together. A lot of lads the same age. I think the last time we would have had a team that strong would have been in the 80s. I think it's a lot of lads, sons of players from that team as well. But yeah, it's just a magic kind of crop just coming in together all at the same time. And in fairness, it's lads who've just been living and breathing football since they were small. In fairness, like, who've been training and playing together all their life. So it's, yeah, I think timing and just lads who've given everything to football the last couple of years.
Okay, because even at underage, you don't, with Templeogue, there is no like separate team. You have to combine with a couple of clubs to compete at underage levels, is it?
Yeah, we do. So when I was playing with Temple underage, it would have been Templeogue, Sneem, Derrynane, Two Sist would have been the underage team. So combining with a couple of clubs, because there would have only been maybe 8 or 9 fellas my age, maybe, growing up in Templeogue in the age group. Yeah, so it's a small area.
Yeah, no, they're definitely doing well in senior championship. I want to ask, in terms of everything you've accomplished in sport and played in sport, what's been the biggest lesson you've learned over the years?
Probably just you'll get out of anything what you put into it. So just putting in effort, keep chipping away, you'll get rewards.
And what advice would you give if there's any younger people listening that haven't had success at underage, haven't made county panels, haven't even, there's some players that don't even play for their starting, club team at underage and go on to have huge success. What advice would you give them listening to it now?
I'd say just keep chipping away, like, small improvements over time add up in a big way. So I'd say don't be too concerned if you're not making a team at an underage level, or in terms of development squads or whatever. If you keep chipping away over time, you'll make a breakthrough eventually. I'd say at a senior level, I'd say very few people remember players who played under 16, under 14 levels. So it's just being a bit patient and keep working.
We are going to move on to Sideline 7, brought to you by RTP Physiotherapy, founded by chartered physiotherapists Donie and Thomas Divilly. The guys are based in St.Judes GA Club in Templeogue in Dublin. RTP specialise in physiotherapy, return to play, physical health, performance. You can visit rtp.physio for more. Question 1, what is your favourite quote?
I'll go with that again. Get out of anything that you put into it.
Okay, very good. Are you a bit of a quotes fan? Do you have or are you just kind of taking it?
No, I wouldn't be a big quotes fan, to be honest. I've robbed that one off my mother. She texts me that after exams or matches. So.
Love it. After exams as well. That's funny. Question 2, what's the best sporting event you've been to? And you can pick one as a fan and one as a player.
It's funny you mentioned Steph Curry. Actually, the coolest sporting event I was at was Steph Curry's select camp in San Francisco. It's his,
wow.
The high school showcase game. I was on J1 in San Fran in 2017. It was on, and it was free entry. Managed to get down to courtside for it. So just watching him and watching the top high school recruits playing was fairly cool.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And some of those players are probably now at the NBA level. If you could, I don't know who was in the 2017 one, but
he was there now. Michael Porter Jr., wow. Scotty Lewis, Jordan McCabe. There's a few who are still in college now, and a couple have made the NBA ranks now. But it was cool to watch. Like the size and athleticism up close is just frightening.
I was going to say, it's not like they're just talented basketball players. I remember I met a couple of them. I was in San Francisco a few weeks ago. I met a few of them, and I was like, just looking at them, I was like, oh my god, you like are just, compared to TV. Like TV doesn't give you a proper resemblance, but even like the guys who I think were small are like seriously tall, but not even tall. They're just built like strength wise. They're just it's a bit ridiculous. Like.
It's frightening. Yeah, even seeing Steph up close, like he was like we were bang on the same height, and he's there dwarfed on the court then.
And playing wise, is there any particular match that stands out for you, Pat?
I'd say probably this year National League first home game against Carlow in Markievicz Park, because I didn't know that my family had gone to the game, saw them coming off the pitch then after, which was nice. So they made the 5-hour drive up.
Question 3, what's been the biggest setback or challenge so far in your career, and how did you react to it?
Probably pulling my hamstring last year is my first time ever getting a muscular injury. So I'd been blessed up to that point. But just kind of, it was tough going for a couple of weeks out of action, but kind of just turned the focus to park and football and just working on the recovery and getting my running back to normal, really. So I kind of got on with it.
Okay, very good. Question 4, what's been your biggest achievement on or off the pitch?
Biggest achievement on or off the pitch, say probably playing for Sligo's biggest achievement on the pitch.
Looking back, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self who was still living in Kerry, didn't play club football up in Dublin and wasn't playing for Sligo?
Be patient and just enjoy it.
Very good. Question 6, who would be your dream dinner guest and why? And you can open up the table to a few people if you want.
I'd probably go LeBron. LeBron James. Probably to be top of your sports since 2003. He probably has a few secrets he's keeping from us. So.
Definitely has a few secrets. Final question before I let you go. If your life was a book, what chapter would this be called?
Probably content. Yeah, just very, very happy with football and everything at the minute. So hopefully keep that going.
And I'll be sure to leave all your social media links in the description box below. And thanks a million for coming on again, Pat. And I just want to wish you the best of luck with next season and beyond.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Big thank you to Pat for joining me on the podcast today. I just want to wish him the very best of luck with next season and beyond. Also, a quick thank you to our Sideline 7 sponsor, RTP Physio. You can find more information in the description box below. Don't forget to leave a rating and a review over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as it does help the show grow. Be sure to follow our social media at The Sideline Live for more, and as always, thank you for listening.